Hello everyone. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about band theory of solids. In this video, we are going to learn about how band theory forms, what are the consequences of band theory of solids, that we will learn in this lecture. From our previous lecture, we understood that the Kronig-Penney model leads to the formation of energy bands. Means Kronig-Penney model proved that energy is not continuous, energy is discrete. So there are some energy levels which are called allowed energy bands, and there are some other energy levels which are called forbidden energy bands. That was shown by Kronig-Penney model in his E versus K diagram as shown in the figure here. So from this Kronig-Penney model, it has been concluded that energy levels are exist in the materials which are discrete. So now based on that, we are going to discuss about this energy bands in solids. For example, you take a single isolated atom. In single isolated atom, the electrons in each orbit have definite energy associated with it. But when you take two single atoms together, then what will happen? The outermost orbit electrons of two atoms are interact, or they will share the electrons each other. So due to this, the energies of the electrons will not be in same level. So the energy levels of electrons are changed to a value, and that value may be, that energy value may be higher or lower than that of the original energy level of the electron. So now we will define what is energy band, how to define the energy band. So energy band is very simple to understand. For example, the electrons in same, as we discussed, the electrons in same orbit exhibit different energy levels. So the grouping of these different energy levels is called as energy band. Okay, so band means some range. So here we are calling energy band means this band consists of different energy levels. Okay, so we have some other example also, electromagnetic spectrum or electromagnetic band we will tell. So what is that band means? It consists of different frequencies. It will range from infrared, IR, etc., etc. So the combination of all those is called a spectrum, or it is also called as a band. Band means some range. So here we are telling energy band. Okay, so energy band means, how to define energy band? The grouping of the different energy levels is called as energy band. And however, the energy levels of inner orbit electrons are not much affected by the presence of neighboring atoms, because those electrons are strongly bonded to the nucleus, so they will not participate in the bonding. Okay, so that's why they will not affect the other electrons. And if you see, there are many number of energy bands in solids, but only three are very important. So these three energy bands are, if you understand these three energy bands, it is easy to get some output from the bands. For example, what are these bands? What are these three important bands? These are valence band, conduction band, and forbidden band. First of all, what is this valence band? Okay, so we can see here what is valence band. The energy band we already discussed. So band means different combination of different energy levels. So valence band is, this is a energy band which is formed by grouping the range of energy levels of the valence electrons or outermost orbit electrons. Okay, so in valence band is nothing but it's a band which consists of valence electrons. If we see here, if we take a nickel as example, if you write the electron configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 3d8, 4s2, so whose atomic number is 28. If you see here, these 4s2, these two electrons are called valence electrons. Okay, so these two electrons are exist in the valence band. And you may ask, sir, what about other electrons, these 1s2 to 3d8? These electrons are strongly bounded to the nucleus when compared to these 4s2. Only these outermost orbital electron called valence electron, these only participate in the bonding. So this valence band is present below the conduction band and is shown in figure also here. Electrons in the valence band have lower energy than the electrons in conduction band, because this y-axis you can treat as a energy. So if you see there, the energy of valence band is very less when compared to the conduction band. The electrons present in the valence band are loosely bound to the nucleus of the atom. Okay, so this is the valence band. So simply, once again I am repeating, simple, here 2 points we have to understand. Valence band is nothing but it formed due to the, by grouping the range of energy levels of the valence electrons. Okay, so that is valence band, which consists of valence electrons whose energy is less when compared to the conduction band, which present below the conduction band. Next band is called conduction band. So now, what is conduction band? So this is again another energy band which is formed by grouping the range of energy levels of the free electrons, is called as conduction band. So these free electrons we can understand in next sections. Free electrons are nothing but which are responsible for the conduction in the materials. So those are called free electrons, are also called conducting electrons. Okay, so in conduction band these free electrons are exist. So this band is called conduction band. Generally the conduction band is empty, but when external energy is applied to the electrons in the valence band, then the electrons from valence band jumps into the conduction band and becomes free electrons. Okay, so this is very important. So remember, so in general the conduction band is empty. Okay, so whenever you give some amount of energy to the valence band electrons, then they will jump from valence band to the conduction band by gaining that energy. And electrons in the conduction band have higher energy than the electrons in valence band. Okay, so that we can see from the diagram, right? So third one, an important one, that is forbidden gap or forbidden band. Okay, so this is third important band which decides the classification of the solids in the materials. Okay, so if you see the forbidden band, this is very simple. This is the gap between valence band and conduction band. Okay, so this gap is exist in some materials. That band is called forbidden band, and this forbidden band is very important, and this gap will decide the nature of the electrical nature of the material. Okay, so the more details we will see in the next sections. Before that, just we will give I want to give some idea here. If you see the figure in the conductors, we know how we can classify the materials or solids based on their electrical conduction. So these are three types: conductors, semiconductors and insulators. This classification can be given with respect to the forbidden gap only. If you take conductor, in conductors the conduction band and valence band are merged together, so there is no gap between the conduction band and valence band, so that whatever the electrons are present in the valence band, they are easily moved to the conduction band and they will conduct. That's why conductors are very good for the electricity. And if you see semiconductor, there is a small gap exists between the valence band and conduction band. Okay, so that is in the range of approximately 1 electron volt. And remember, electron volt is unit of energy. Generally we will use joules, and there is a conversion between electron volt and joule also. So here for simplicity we are using electron volts, because in joules it will be 10 power something. So instead of that, here simply we will use electron volts to represent the energy gap. In semiconductors, the range of forbidden gap is 1 electron volt, and in case of insulators this gap is very high. It is in the order of 5 to 15 electron volts. So whatever the energy you are giving to the valence band, that will not sufficient for the electrons to jump to the conduction band. And in solids, electrons cannot stay in forbidden gap because there is no allowed energy state in this region. So forbidden gap is the major factor for determining the electrical conductivity of the solid. And as I said, 1 electron volt is nothing but 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. So using 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules energy gap is difficult. That's why for simplicity we will use 1 electron volt here. Now, so as I already told you, we can classify the materials based on their forbidden gap. Those are insulators, conductors and semiconductors. Here we will discuss one by one. Almost these topics you have already covered in your school books and your intermediate also. So that's why I'm giving only important conclusions or important points about these materials. So the materials which does not allow the flow of electric current through them are called as insulators. Okay, so this is a very simple definition which we have learned from our intermediate or 10th class. Normally in insulators, the valence band is fully occupied with electrons due to the sharing of outermost orbit electrons with the neighboring atoms, whereas conduction band is empty. So it means that there are no electrons present in the conduction band. Okay, so the forbidden gap between this valence band and conduction band is very large in these insulators. This is in the range of 5 to 15 electron volts. So in order to move the valence band electrons into the conduction band, we need large amount of external energy, and we should apply on it, and that energy should be equal to the forbidden gap. But in fact this is practically impossible. And if we consider few examples, rubber, wood, diamond, plastic are some examples of insulators. And don't think that these insulators are not useful as they are not allowing the electric current. Okay, because these insulators such as plastics are used for coating of electrical wires, and these also useful to prevent the flow of electricity to unwanted points and protect us from the electric shocks. So this is one of the, these are the few important applications of the insulators. And next one, conductors. The materials which easily allow the flow of electric current through them, those materials are called conductors. We know simply all the metals are good conductors of electricity. And few examples, if you consider copper, silver, iron, aluminum, etc., so are the good conductors of electricity. And in a conductor, valence band and conduction band overlap each other, and this is shown in figure here. So the black region indicates there is no forbidden gap. Almost conduction band and valence band are joined together. It means even if you give a small amount of external energy, it will provide enough energy for the valence band electrons to move into the conduction band. Therefore, more number of valence band electrons can easily move into the conduction band. And here we have to remember one important point. When valence band electrons move to the conduction band, they becomes free electrons. Okay, these free electrons are responsible for the flow of electricity in the conductors. Okay, so that's why this band is called conduction band, because these free electrons are responsible for the conduction. Okay, and in conductors, large number of electrons are present in conduction band at room temperature. It means conduction band is almost full, whereas valence band is partially occupied with electrons. So if you compare the insulators and conductors, we can understand in insulators valence band is full, conduction band is 0, and in case of conductors, when compared to valence band, conduction band will have more number of electrons. And next one, semiconductors. First we will see the definition of semiconductor here, then in next slides we are going to deal about semiconductors in detail. So how to define a semiconductor? So the material which has electrical conductivity between that of a conductor and an insulator is called a semiconductor. So means in these materials the energy gap is very less, the forbidden gap is very less when compared to the insulators. So they will partially allow the electricity when compared to the insulators and conductors. And if you consider few examples, silicon, germanium and graphite are some examples of semiconductors. And the forbidden gap is in the range of 1 electron volt. And another important point, at low temperature, the valence band is completely occupied with electrons, and at the same time the conduction band is empty, because the electrons in the valence band does not have enough energy to move into the conduction band. So therefore what happened, semiconductor behave as an insulator at low temperature, but when the temperature goes on increasing, the number of valence band electrons moving into the conduction band also increases. So this clearly shows that electrical conductivity of a semiconductor increases with increase in the temperature. So that's why these semiconductors have negative temperature coefficient of resistance, means if you increase the temperature, resistance decreases. This is one of the important properties of semiconductor. Okay, semiconductors have negative temperature coefficient of resistance. And we are going to discuss about another concept here, hole. Hole is very simple to understand. If you consider a semiconducting material as shown in figure, you imagine initially there are 2 electrons in the valence band. Now when you give certain amount of energy to the valence band, then those electrons will jump from valence band to the conduction band and they will become free electrons, and they will leave the 2 holes in the valence band. Okay, so here we can simply explain that the absence of electron in a particular place in an atom is called as hole. Okay, the absence of electron, nothing but hole, that's it. So hole is not a separate particle. Hole represent that there is no electron, that's it. Earlier it was electron, now it is not there. So hole is a electric charge carrier which has positive charge, because this is opposite to the electron. No, electron is having negative charge, and to balance it will have positive charge. The electric charge of hole is equal to the electric charge of electron, but have opposite charge, opposite polarity. If electron is having minus some q, it will have plus q. When a small amount of external energy is applied, then the electrons in the valence band moves into the conduction band and leaves a vacancy in valence band. This vacancy is called as hole. Okay, so this whole concept is very important, which will be useful in discussing the p-n junction diode. And now here I want to tell one interesting explanation here. You just see figures 1, 2, 3, 4 here. We know how the electrons flow, but here I want to tell you how holes will flow. Okay, so now look at the figures carefully. Let's take an example here as shown in figure. Let us imagine there are 3 atoms, atom A, atom B and atom C. Okay, if you see figure 1, so here I am considering first one as A and second B and the next one C, but here I am using only A. Okay, now at room temperature, the valence electrons in an atom, for example A, gains enough energy and it jumps into the conduction band as shown in figure 1. When it jumps to the conduction band, a hole is created in the valence band at atom A as shown in figure 2. You can see that in figure 2 also. Then the neighboring electron from B moves to atom A to fill the hole at atom A. This creates a hole at atom B that can be seen in figure 3. Similarly, neighboring electron from atom C moves into atom B to fill the hole at the atom B. This creates a hole at atom C as shown in figure 4. Okay, so likewise electrons move from left side to right side, the holes move from right to the left side. Okay, now we will see classification of semiconductors. Basically semiconductors are classified into 2 types: intrinsic semiconductors and extrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors are pure semiconductors and extrinsic semiconductors are impure semiconductors which form due to the doping. And these extrinsic semiconductors are again classified into 2 types: p-type semiconductors and n-type semiconductors. So more details can be seen in the next video.